Standing approximately 6 feet tall, this pale-skinned creature was originally reported to have 3 solid green eyes on an otherwise featureless face. It stalks victims' houses for a point of entry in order to induce nightmares while standing or sitting at the end of their beds. Once a victim's nightmare has reached the peak of feverish terror, they will either choke the victim to death or attempt to exude some form of parasitic living pupa down the victim's throat. This pupa will devour its victim from within over time, exiting the host victim at the point of its death. This newly hatched, so to speak, young rake feeds on the meat and blood of small rodents and mammals. Many witnesses have encountered rakes at the side of small rivers and streams, devouring rodents or other small mammals. A fully grown rake is very fast and agile with superhuman strength. Some have claimed to encounter ancient rakes that stand over 10 feet tall with 2 black eyeless eye sockets. The rake is a determined stalker, and once you have locked eyes with one, it will follow you unseen from a distance in order to locate your home or sleeping location. Over time, the descriptions of these creatures have begun to vary, and it is speculated that misidentification is involved in a large majority of the rake sightings. Regardless of the variations, a true rake is considered to be demonic by most people. Unlike other cryptids, the rake is primarily a hoax created by the 4chan board B, aka Random Posts. B happens to be the birthplace of Anonymous as well as a host of other online memes and trends. The rake began as a collaborative project online when one user posted on 4chan's B board inviting others to contribute details for physical attributes and habits to help make a new monster. Photoshopped images of the rake were created and details were fleshed out in a 2013 blog post. Normally, this would not merit a cryptids video, or for that matter, any type of video coverage. However, something has begun to occur that merits discussion. People are claiming to see this creature that have never heard of 4chan, or even the rake itself. Witnesses have searched online to find this spindly-limbed pale creature with exaggerated claws after seeing something similar in their yards or even in their homes at night. The question remains, why are people seeing this? Or at the very least, misidentifying something with the features of an obvious hoax. The problem became more complicated by the sheer amount of creepypasta posts and faked videos. Once film producers started creating higher production value found footage highlights to promote various movies, the rake began to take a more official place in the world of cryptids and monsters. We have posted the Rick Grubenik footage on this channel, and viewers have commented details such as it being a phase-shifting demon. Viewers have told of encountering the rake and grow clearly agitated when rake footage is called out as a hoax. The bottom line is, if the rake is indeed a hoax created by 4chan's random board, it is at the very least a successful monster hoax. What remains to be understood is what in fact are people seeing that has rake-like features. Hoax or not, there are some common witness accounts of these creatures and their environment. Despite the 4chan descriptions of this creature living in the northeastern forests of the United States, they have been spotted now across the country. Rake sightings have occurred on college campuses as demonstrated in the witness account at the end of this video. There are reports of the rake stalking large mammals in the woods of Canada. Rakes have crossed into fenced backyards, lurking in the bushes, waiting until the lights go off at a residence to find a point of entry. There is some kind of connection to shadows and their ability to appear and disappear into them. They will attack victims with others sleeping nearby or next to them. If indeed these creatures exist, they are much more aggressive and target their victims with a sense of purpose. Essentially, your home offers little safety once you have been targeted by a rake. In the fictitious origin story of the rake, early sightings of the monster occurred as early as 2003, when reported encounters with the curious, frightening creature began cropping up in northeastern America, before a media blackout on the subject apparently began. As a result, urban legend has it that there was little to no known information on the rake until around 2006, when victims began collaborating to research the creature and discovered close to 24 documents with dates ranging across the centuries, all describing similar encounters with the rake. Some of the supposed artifacts included a suicide note from 1964, a journal entry translated from Spanish dated 1880, and a mariner's log from 1691. At the present time, there is no serious research or documentation that has been developed in this phenomenon. Be it a hoax or be it some form of demonic entity, there is little being discussed or developed to help understand this creature any better. With each witness account, the description seems to change little by little. There are also new locations added to the list of known habitats. In this account, a college campus proved to be a hunting ground for an ancient rake.
The old boarding school sat in seclusion, surrounded by deep woods.
After class at school, there wasn't really much for me to do there, so we had to kind of find our own entertainment, and we used to sneak and smoke cigarettes.
One night, Carrie snuck out to meet her boyfriend. She was worried she might get in trouble. The last thing she expected was a visit from the rake.
We weren't supposed to be out after dark. And we saw a teacher with his big black dog.
The school proctor was prowling for wayward students.
So we hid, just laid there still and quiet, scared. And we thought for sure, surely we were gonna get caught, get in a lot of trouble. I mean, that teacher was coming, we were petrified.
Like blood attracting sharks, their fear worked like a magnet for the rake.
And all of a sudden, we saw a really tall human kind of crouched over, and it slowly rose up.
Oh my God.
And it just turned and looked at us.
What is that?
I don't have anything to compare it to. It's just a black on black being. And we couldn't move, we were terrified. Just that fear sets in and you just can't move.
Carrie stared in horror at the gargantuan, grasping creature.
His hands were large and his fingers were long, almost like a hand in a shadow, how the shadow would distort your fingers and extend them. They were long and pointy, like 3 times the size of a normal hand.
The rake approaches the person as sort of like a night terror, and it taunts the person until it catches them and takes them away.
Just as the rake was closing in for the kill, the proctor and his dog were back. The night erupted in the cries of a howling dog.
It was in this, like the glow of the streetlight, and just ran off in the night into darkness, and we were terrified.
The rake had been thwarted. According to dozens of reports by those who survived, this creature prefers to kill when the victim is unaware of his presence.
The creature sometimes can blend into its environment, and it can sneak upon the person and extend tendrils from its back, almost like living tree limbs or octopus or squid tentacles, where they reach out to the person, they grab the person and trap them and take them away.
The rake has been showing up either in the corner or on the bed or something. And it was an internet meme that was floating around.
In the past decade, hundreds of people have described terrifying encounters with the rake.
Whatever we saw that night, it's like he knew what we feared. It's like he came to scare us that night, like he was stalking us.
Unfortunately, the stalking was far from over. The rake wasn't finished with Carrie. And this monster has a long history of showing up when you're defenseless, asleep in bed. The rake would pay a bedtime visit to Carrie for Giorgio.
My dorm room had 2 bunks. One night I was in my bed, sleeping kind of restless. And I woke up abruptly, and I remember looking at the clock, and it was 3:33. I saw my roommate staring down at me, horrified, just terror on her face.
Carrie had no idea what had just transpired, how close she had come to never waking up. Her roommate knew. Now she had laid eyes on the rake.
She just looked terrified, almost started crying. She started telling me that she woke up at 3:30, looked down, and saw this being, this thing, sitting on my bed, just smothering me. And she was horrified. She described it as maybe 8 foot tall, thin, long fingers. It was so big, it couldn't fit on the bunk bed above it. It was hunched over. And she said, she couldn't move, paralyzed with fear.
This monster doesn't want witnesses.
I don't know if he was scared away, but when it ran off into the night, we just laid there frozen, terrified. I felt sick, I felt dizzy, I wanted to throw up, I wanted to cry, I had a million emotions at once. I don't know what he would have done to me had my roommate not have woken up, but I can't help but feel that he was trying to hurt me.
The rake presents a problem with reliable witness accounts, and the internet age does not help lend many reliable details. With the advancement of technology and the ability to capture clear evidence, this should have helped bolster the efforts to debunk or prove these cryptid encounters. Unfortunately, this same advancement in technology has advanced the art of hoaxing and fraud. In the case of the rake, we are presented with a more complicated problem since it was initially established and verified to be a hoax. So, the question remains to be answered. What exactly are people encountering? Do you think there is some form of legitimacy to this cryptid? Or perhaps is this an obvious hoax that has happened to coincide with some lesser-known demon? Perhaps the rake unintentionally borrowed enough from some other lore such as jinn, ghouls, or the Wendigo that it has now blurred the lines of identification. Feel free to chime in on the comments below. Thanks for watching.